Yo, what is up guys? It's Rage, by the way, back here with another video. Today we're going to be looking over the best or your best in slots for phase 2 as a Fury Warrior. Now I've been kind of waiting a while for this video to make this video. I wanted to make sure that everything was kind of set in stone. You know, people kind of made the decisions, talking to people, you know, looking at discords, you know, the whole shebang, and pretty much deciding like what's going to be BIS for phase 2 before I came out with a BIS list. Everything's up for debate. A lot of this is my own opinion, but a lot of this is still pretty like cookie cutter, what it's going to be. When we get into phase 2, there's going to be very like in your face options that are like pretty obvious. There's not a lot of things to switch around. I do have a couple of suggestions for certain pieces of gear, just as we go through, as you're going through the raids, so that way you can maybe try to grab some pieces that other people aren't using. There, of course, like plate's always a big option as a Fury Warrior DPS, as there's only 2 DPS that actually use plate, us and Paladins, as DPS gear. So if you have to grab some of the plate options, I'm going to show you guys some of the plate options, because they can be used as fillers or some of them can be used as fillers until you get those other pieces, you know, because a lot of times as Fury Warriors we wear leather and that kind of thing because usually it just has better stats. But with that, we also fight with other people as we, you know, try to get those pieces, as there's a lot of classes that also use leather that are DPS. So this is pretty, like I said, it's pretty cut and dry, pretty cookie cutter. I will show my opinion on certain things that you can switch around and some things that you will be able to switch around as you go. We're gonna be able to, I'm gonna show you guys a hit set, and then like a 9% hit set and then a 6% hit set. As you know, some raids, you know, it's kind of depending on how your guild is or what you're doing, or maybe you're pugging, you're not always gonna have a boomkin, and having a 6% hit set, or lower, I should say lower than 9%, is not gonna help you at all. It's gonna bring your DPS down quite a bit, so you're gonna want to be at that 9% if you don't have a boomkin. So I will be showing you some things that you can replace with that as we go, and then also the 6%, the regular, like, you know, below 9% that you can use, that'll be like your best in slot if you have a boomkin. So first off, I mean, we look absolutely ridiculous. Like this next phase, we look absolutely silly, so we're gonna have to deal with that. But as we go through TBC, I think most of us are pretty used to that by now. But yeah, we do look pretty silly as by the time we get to the end of phase 2, but that's okay because we'll be doing a ton of damage. So first off, we're gonna try to get the Destroyer's Battle Helm. This drops off Lady Vosh in SSC. This is going to be a big ticket item for us. So the biggest problem with us trying to get tier gear as we go along talking about more stuff is that our tier sets are pretty bad, like set bonus wise. And as you guys know, we share with druids and priests, right? Druids and priests, yeah, something like that. Yeah, druids and priests. See, I'm right. Whoop. Druids and priests. So as you guys know, we do share with druids and priests. So in their sets as boomkin, feral tank, feral DPS, healers, or resto druids, and then I know like the priests, I'm pretty sure that priests also use their set. So there is a very big chance that we're going to be very, very low prio for this, unfortunately, just because when we want Destroyer's Battle Helm, it's literally just for stats. I mean, depending on how your guild does it, just depends on how, like, what your place will be for how you get this. If you're doing a loot council type system where people kind of know what they're doing, there's a very big chance that you will not get this anytime soon. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. We just don't get our set pieces, our set bonus just isn't big enough over like a feral, a tank, or like a holy priest or something like that, unfortunately. So there are options that you can go for this. Most of us currently, if you've been raiding throughout this, probably have your Warbringer by now. Your Warbringer will be just fine as we go through. To be honest, the Destroyer is in theory just a stat upgrade for us. Obviously more crit, more hit, a couple more strength, but it's not that big of a deal. It'll give us the stats that we need, but it's not necessary. You'll still be fine with Warbringer as you go through, so I wouldn't sweat it that much. But yeah, if you guys are doing like some type of loot council, you probably get proud pretty low for this. Unfortunately, that's just how it is for this phase. The set bonus just isn't very good for us. Next up, we go into the next. We have Pendant of the Perils. This drops off the trash in SSC. Now, because this drops off trash, it might be a while before we get this, depending on how trash drops are, or like what the percentages are as we get into SSC. Good news is that it's a strength and a crit next, so most likely we won't be really fighting people for this. Maybe rep pallies. I don't think bear tanks want this, but I could be wrong. Not too sure on bear tank BIS, not like up to date on that. So, but this is a very good neck. If it drops, we're probably going to be getting it, no problem. There's not really a lot of other classes that use strength and crit, maybe enhanced shamans, maybe, but otherwise we kind of just have to wait on trash drops. It's kind of a bad deal because it's trash drops, whatever. We also have Choker of Animalistic Fury off Lurker. I'm pretty sure this is actually, I think this is Hunter BIS, and I think this might actually be the one that's Bear BIS, so we could have a problem trying to get this. If that's the case, you know, you could still rock with what you got. The Amulet of Bitter Hatred or Choker of Violent Intent, same thing. Still gonna be good. We still have tons of options here. We could go for the I one. I'm pretty sure this is Rogue BIS. But for the most part, we're kind of just waiting on the trash drop for this neck. It's not really worth taking some of these other necks away from people that probably use them, like rogues, bear tanks, hunters, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't sweat over it. Your choker is still going to be okay, or your amulet, whatever you're using, until we get this. Next up, we have shoulder pads of the stranger. Now this is going to be a very tough item for us to get as well. Pretty much every single DPS wants this. It's got crit, it's got expertise, it's got attack, it's got agility on it, and it's got sockets. This is a very, very strong shoulders for us. But as I said, we're going to be fighting feral druids, we're going to be fighting rogues. Not sure about paladins, probably not, I don't know. Fighting shamans, it's just going to be the whole 9 yards. We're going to be fighting a lot of people for this. This is a crazy shoulder piece. This drops off Hydros in SSC, a lot of SSC drops so far. But yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for us to try to get that. On the other hand, we could get Pauldrons of the War Dancer that drop off Hydros as well. These are plate only. They have 2 sockets, 38 strength, 29 crit. They're not as good as shoulder pads of the stranger, but they are very good. They have more crit rating, which is nice. This could be a very valuable drop for us. Plus, it's got the sockets that'll help us catch up, add more crit, do whatever. Like I said earlier in the video, as plate, we're not gonna have to fight very many people for this kind of thing. So it's literally just you, maybe an arms warrior, and then your rep pally. That's it. That's all you're gonna be fighting for this. This could be very easy to pick up. This will be a very fast pickup. If you do pick these up, they are better than your warbringers. They're actually better than destroyers as well, depending on like where your set is for destroyer. But like I said, your set bonus isn't that good for destroyer, so you're not really going for sets anyway. But Pauldrons of the War Dancer, very good option as well. Rip Fiend still rates above both of these, but most people probably aren't killing world bosses like that, so I wouldn't even worry about that. I usually don't include world boss or PvP stuff in my guides, just because they're kind of like not really for the normal person. So yeah, so Pauldrons of the War Dancer, very good. Shoulder pads of the stranger is the best in slot. Vengeance Wrap, we're still gonna be using Vengeance Wrap throughout this entire thing. It's still very, very good. You could try to get a what was it that we were talking about? I don't remember actually. The Razor Scale Battle Cloak is okay. I don't think you'd really want to go for this. You could if you don't have Vengeance Wrap, like it's okay, but it's not like the best. Wilder Cloak is going to be going to hunters for sure. This is like hunter best in slot, like by far. Cloak of the Pit Stalker is also pretty good if you've been clearing mag and you got that, also a good option. Otherwise, yeah, you're just going to want to stick with your Vengeance Wrap if you got it. Now we're going to go into another set piece that we need. We do need the breastplate here. The breastplate is going to be our best stats, a lot of crit, a lot of strength. Hit 3 sockets. The 3 sockets is huge. That's going to give us a ton of crit. As you know, as Fury Warriors, we crit, or we gem a ton of crit, usually just all crit across the board, and after we've got our meta slot filled. So yeah, this is going to give us a ton of stats. This drops off Kael'thas, so this is going to be very hard to get. Like I said, probably going to be very low priod, unfortunately, just because of the people that we fight with. Keep that in mind. Go into phase 2 knowing that don't be upset if you do not get priod over it. It has nothing to do with how you're playing or what you're doing. It's just the fact that druids and priests just have better set bonuses than us, unfortunately. So if that's the case and it takes a while for you to get this, there's also Bloodsea Brigand's Vest. This is also going to be pretty hard for you to get. This is best in slot for every single leather worker, or every single leather wearer, and then enhancement shamans as well. So this might be pretty hard for you to get. I'm pretty sure this is rogue best in slot, so there's a good chance that you're not going to be able to get this. Once again, then we go back to some plate that could be useful. Kraken Heart breastplate drops off of Lady Vosh. This has a ton of strength, a ton of agility, and a lot of hit. I'm actually really surprised of like the stats on this. The stats on this are actually kind of crazy. This might be BIS for rep pallies, because of how many stats on it. And I know that they value stats like raw, like strength, agility, stam stats than us. So depending on how it goes, this might be prio to rep pallies. But if not, and you don't have a rep pally or something like that, this will be a very good pickup as well. This is going to rate higher than your Warbringer. But yeah, other than that, I wouldn't go for something like Ranger Generals. I know this is rates pretty high, but this is like, it's got like int on it. It's okay. I mean, it's all right. It's got a lot of agility, crit, attack power. It's got 3 sockets, so it could be okay. But running around with int on your chest, you're gonna look like a beta. So don't do that. Otherwise, your Warbringer's just fine. Don't ever, you know. Oh, this is like your destroyer, like chest guard for like tanking. You wouldn't obviously get that unless you're tanking. But yeah, so you're probably gonna get prioed pretty like low for this. Unfortunately, we're just living the Fury dream by getting prioed super low. Next up, we got Bracers of Eradication. This drops off Lurker. These are very good. 25 strength, 12 stam, blue socket. Don't really care about that. We're probably gonna be throwing a crit gem in there anyway. 24 crit, 17 hit. These are very good. Gives us that hit rating that we need. Gives us a lot of crit. It also gives us a gem. Just pretty much just a straight upgrade from Bladespire warbands. But if you can't get those for a while, or whatever the case may be with their drop, your Bladespire warbands are still good. They're not much of an upgrade. These aren't much of a crazy upgrade over Bracers. They do give you some hit, which is nice, but these also give you 2 sockets over these ones, so you could socket more crit into this. So potentially Bladespire could be your BIS for your below 9% slot because of the extra crit. But your Bracers of Eradication are going to be a little bit safer because they have that much hit rating. So just depending on where your stats are, don't get rid of your Bladespire warbands as soon as you get Bracers of Eradication. Keep your Bladespire, look at your stat values, and see if your double slotting crit gems is better for your crit and all that shit than the Bracers, because that's a very good possibility. Up next, we have Dragon Strike, all the way down here somewhere. I don't know why they rate this so low on this website. Whatever. Dragon Strike. I have like not a good way to show you guys that. What is happening? There you go. Whoop. Okay. Dragon Strike. You guys know what Dragon Maw does. Most of you guys probably know what Dragon Maw does. Dragon Strike is literally just a beefed up version of that. Still gives you the same haste rating when you get it. Still the same amount of stamina, I'm pretty sure. Just more damage. I mean, just more top end, more DPS. It's just better. All it takes is for us to get some Nether Vortexes. I say all it takes, like it's just going to be that easy. Probably won't be that easy. I don't know how actually the Nether Vortex drop rate. I've heard that it's about 2 to 3 per raid that you're in, like per SSC per eye. So if that's the case, we could potentially, if you get super lucky, your guild gets super lucky, there's a chance that if you do both of those on the Tuesday reset that we have, whenever phase 2 comes out, you could get it on day 1. So if they prio this to you. Good news is that whatever your guild prios the Nether Vortexes to, whoever it goes to first is going to be the one that it's funneled to, because they're not going to split up the Nether Vortexes if they're you know, all there in their head. So if you get proud for this, which you probably will, because there's not a lot of classes that are continuing with their weapons like we are, you'll probably get this pretty soon. You're going to want to make this like ASAP. If not, if like let's say you didn't do blacksmithing, you could always go for the Talon. The Talon is a very good weapon. You're going to be fighting hunters over this, so just be wary of that. You could also, or Talon of the Phoenix, I should say, because then we have Talon of Azara. Talon of Azara, you're going to be fighting rogues for. This is Rogue's BIS, so you're also going to be dealing with that. So these are also 2 very good weapons. If you're an orc like I am, you could potentially use Netherbane. Netherbane might be a very good choice here. Might be a very good pickup. Netherbane is very strong. It's an axe, so it gives you that expertise as an orc. Plus, it's got agility and attack power on it. It's a very, very strong weapon. I would not look away from this weapon if it dropped and you needed it, if you don't have blacksmithing. Next up, we got Rod of the Sun King. Okay, so this is a pretty hot topic right now for warriors. So to my understanding, there was, from what I've read, there was a rogue that actually had this drop from the PTR. and he went and smacked stuff for a while with this to see what the proc rate was, and it was pretty dog shit as a rogue. And that's as a rogue too, that's stacking hit and doing that whole ordeal. Their hit is just way higher than us. This could be potentially a deal breaker for some of you guys. If the chance on hit to gain the rage, if you guys are like, oh, it's dog shit, I'm not gonna use it, I would still not go against this weapon, just for the fact that it has a very, very high top end. The only other thing that you would replace it with is Talon, and that's like 20, yeah, that's like, wait, that's like quick maths, 13 top end and like 4 DPS, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up, you know. It starts adding up when you factor in your attack power, all that bullshit. Like I said, Netherbane is still a good option if you're an orc and nobody wants the shit. You could take a Netherbane as your offhand as well. I would not be against going for Rod of the Sun King because you heard that the proc rate is bad. We also heard the proc rate was bad on Dragon Mom before this shit came out, before TBC dropped, and it ended up being really good, at least for warriors, and for rogues I'm pretty sure too. So I would try to get Rod of the Sun King if you can. Fortunately, the only people that are going to want this is rogues and warriors, so you're going to have a very good chance of getting this. And the only warriors that obviously can use it are going to be Fury. You're not going to get an arms warrior taking this unless for some reason the the dual wielding arms thing comes to rotation, and like they start doing that. So this is a very good pickup. I would definitely go for this. This drops off Kel'Thas for sure. Like, this is a good pickup. All right, next we're going on to the gloves. We're going to go for gauntlets of martial perfection. We're going to actually keep these. The only thing that you'll replace these with potentially as gloves of the Searing Grip, and the only way that you'd replace these is if you had shoulder pads of the Stranger. If you have shoulder pads of the Stranger, then you get gloves of the Searing Grip because of the stat values, because of the extra expertise and all that crap. If you do not have shoulder pads, let's say you're still rocking Warbringer, or you got Pauldrons of the War Dancer, you're going to want to keep your gauntlets of martial perfection. Your gauntlets are still very good. They're very, very strong. A lot of good stats, still a lot of crit, 2 gems, and strength and all that shit. They're going to give you the most crit rating, and as a Fury Warrior, you guys know crit rating is everything. So very good option. Stick with your gauntlets until you can somehow get gloves, and then also, like, you know, swap some stuff around it, and that's pretty much how it's going to be. Plus, most of you probably already have these too, so you're not going to have to like try to dig for these. So very good option still. Now here's the big money ticket. This is the juicer of phase 2. Okay, this is the one that everybody's talking about. This is the one that's just everywhere. Drops from Lady Vosh. Belt of 100 deaths, 29 agility, 25 expertise rating, 74 attack power for 2 gems. This belt is absolutely insane. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. This belt is bonkers. We're going to be losing the crit that we would have got from our Girdle of the Endless Pit, but we're getting 25 expertise and 74 attack power on top of 29 agility, and then 2 sockets as well. That is absolutely crazy. Like, that expertise is coming back to being an expertise, like with the gloves that I was talking about earlier, the shoulder pads, going back and stacking our expertise again. We saw had very good results in phase 1, like wearing cleft hoof forever. Warriors with the deafness gauntlets, or whatever the fuck they're called, gloves of deafness, or whatever they're called. Expertise is a very, very good stat that we want as a Fury Warrior. It helps us not get so many dodges. We don't really have to worry about parries because we shouldn't be fighting bosses from the front unless you have to, unless the boss like literally makes you. But you should always be fighting bosses from the back. When you fight bosses from the back, they can still dodge, so having that expertise helps us not get that dodge to happen. Obviously, when we don't get dodged, we generate rage, we do more damage. That's what we want to do. Belt of 100 deaths is going to be a very, very sought after belt for everybody, for pretty much every single melee physical using DPS. This is going to be very hard for us to get. This is also a feral bear tank BIS item. This is going to be a long time coming, and it drops off Lady, so it's at the end of the raid if your guild does get to the end of the raid. Be warned that it might be a while for you to get this. With it being so many people's BIS though, it could it could end up happening that your guild just puts it up to chance and is like, okay, well, this is rogue, feral, like red, everybody's BIS. You guys are all like, you guys all wanted it for the loot council. You guys need to just roll it off and just pray to the gods, pray to the warrior gods that you get this and that, you know, it drops for you. It drops for your guild. You able to roll on it. You get a high roll and get this. Pray for you. This is going to be a belt that's going to take us a while. Thankfully, we still have Girdle of the Endless Pit that's still ranked higher than most everything that we can possibly get going into phase 2. So your Girdle of the Endless Pit is still going to be decent. I'm not going to really go into super detail about every single other item on here that you can go. You guys can pause and look at every single item in case you like use any of these, in case you use a Ground Stitch or whatever. But this is pretty much the ratings. Get belt of 100 deaths as soon as you possibly can. Bribe people, do whatever you got to do. Great belt. It's going to be insane. Next up, we have Leggings of Murderous Intent. These are very, very strong. Leather, 45 agility, 37 crit, a ton of crit, 92 attack power. So on top of the 37 crit, we also have 45 agility, which is going to stack our crit even higher. These are absolutely crazy. They drop off Kelthus. This is going to be a very tough item for us to get. Like I said at the beginning of the video, everything that's leather, anything like that is probably going to be very hard for us to get, because when it comes to the leather pieces, they're usually the best for DPS, melee, like physical DPS. So there's a chance that we're going to be fighting over this for a while. If that's the case and you can't, Destroyers is very, very powerful. Destroyers has almost the same amount of crit as Leggings do, plus it has a socket, so you have that going for you, plus it's giving you hit if you need to hit. Now, Destroyers is a tier token, so and like I said about tier tokens might be hard for us to try to go for, but this is a very, very good item if you can get it. I think Leggings still rates a little bit higher because of the crit rating, but you could easily go with Destroyer for your hit, your crit, and it gives you strength. This might just be a little bit harder for you to get depending on how your tier tokens get handed out. Now, you could go for Greaves of the Bloodwater as well. These are rated pretty high. I think for the 3 sockets is why. It's also got 49 strength and 31 crit. 49 strength, 31 crit. So they are pretty decent if you don't have something there. The biggest issue that I see with these is that you lose some hit without a lot of like give there. Having 3 sockets does help it quite a bit. This is like the only redeeming quality it has. You can stack up to a ton of crit with the 3 sockets on top of the 31 crit that it already has. So these are also a very good option. Like I said, plate DPS things will be a little bit easier for you to grab and use for the time being if you need it. Next up, we got War Boots of Obliteration. Now, this is probably going to be a pretty quick pickup for us. It's a plate item that's got strength and crit on it. We're the only ones using it, like I've said, that's using plate DPS gear, besides Arms Warrior and Ret Pallies. Drops off Tidewalker and SSC. This will probably be a pretty quick pickup, so whenever you can get these, that'll be awesome. You could also go for neither of these because these are shit. You don't want to use them because you're not a beta. You're just going to keep your Iron Striders if you don't get these. Iron Striders are still great. They still got sockets, still got great stats. Just keep those for now. Boop. All right. Band of the Ranger General. This is going to be another item that's going to take us ages to get. You get this from, I'm pretty sure, the item that Kelthus drops, like the mag head and all that kind of shit. This is the item that Kelthus drops that you turn in that gives you this. There is a lot of people that are going to be trying to get that Kelthus item because almost every single ring in that is used on every single class, spec, whatever. Depending on how your raid does it, tanks and healers will probably be prioed first, and then DPS will be prioed after, just depending on how your guild is situated. If you're in a pug or if you're in a guild that just doesn't give a fuck, good luck on the roll. Everybody's going to be rolling on it. It's going to be hectic. Good news is that this drops every single time you do Kelthus. You don't have to wait for the drop. You're not like, oh, I hope it drops today. It always drops. It's the same thing as the mag head, like I said. So you'll always have this drop. You won't ever have to worry about it. It'll be fine. Like, you'll be good. Let me just make sure 100%. Yeah. So Verdant Spear, that's what you're looking for. So you turn that in, and that's what you, that's not going to show me the, it's not going to show me what you get, but that's what you turn in. You get the Verdant Spear. Just make sure I wasn't crazy. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what that is. All right. So yeah, you're going to want to go for the Verdant Spear. Good luck with it. I hope you get your drops. Pray to the gods. Otherwise, Ring of 1,000 Marks, still one of our best. You're going to keep Ring of 1,000 Marks for this entire thing. Obviously, if you get the Kazakh ring, that's better than Ring of 1,000 Marks, so you'd be using that instead. but Band of the Rager General is going to be your best bet. You could also get Ring of Lethality from Hydros if you have neither of those. It's good item, 24 ag, 19 hit, 50 attack power, good item. I'm pretty sure rogues use this and hunters might use this, so good luck with that. Otherwise, my personal opinion, your Shapeshifters is still going to be one of your best until you get your expertise items that you need. Shapeshifters still gives us that expertise. Like I said, expertise is still insane. You're going to want to try to keep as much expertise as you possibly can without sacrificing too many stats. So this might be used for a very, very long time until you start getting your expertise items. Just keep an eye on that. Don't get rid of that. You'll definitely need it. All right, we're gonna go on the trinkets. This is the big one. Everybody wants to, all the trinkets. Fury Warriors they love trinkets. Like, let's just say hopefully you have a DST by then. I don't, because I'll never get one. But if a DST drops, your DST is obviously going to be BIS throughout probably this almost the entirety of this expansion. Just keep the DST on. Don't ever take it off. Don't ever look at it. Just keep it on there. Don't ever switch it out. You shouldn't be touching it. Otherwise, we're going to be going for Tsunami Talisman. This works as a better Hourglass. If you guys remember Hourglass, when you had it, or if you still have it, increases your crit chance and also on chance on critical hit to increase your attack power by 300 for 10 seconds. This is just that, but beefed up. Increase your critical chance by 38, increase your hit rating by 10, chance on critical hit to increase your attack power by 340. Very good item. I don't think very many classes go for this, so you might have a good chance on going for this. It's not an on-use item, so it's not going to be like your Bloodlust Brooch. So if you're the type of person that prefers the on-use item, you can still keep your Bloodlust Brooch and you'll be fine. You wouldn't have a problem with that. You can definitely keep your Bloodlust Brooch and use it for those times that you need, like you want to like specifically pop it at a certain rate or like at a certain time in the fight. It's definitely okay. For more like longer fights, the Tsunami Talisman is going to be better. Bloodlust Brooch might rate a little bit higher, or you might see it a little bit higher in the parses once guilds start to figure out the fights and start doing them faster, start having gear, because it'll be more efficient to pop your Bloodlust Brooch when you know that you're going to kill something in like a minute 30, 2 minutes or something like that. The Tsunami Talisman probably won't be rated as high as the Bloodlust Brooch because you can kind of time your Bloodlust Brooch with the on use. But Tsunami Talisman is very, very good. You're going to be using it for progression. You're going to want to take Tsunami Talisman into phase 3, as those fights are going to start getting a mile harder, and you're not going to have like 1 minute boss fights like you do right now. When we get to like start getting to like Black Temple, that kind of thing, it's going to be way harder to try to time those Bloodlust Brooches and stuff. You're going to want to take Tsunami Talisman in it, so you're going to want to pick this up at some point. Last up, we have the Serpent Spine Longbow. This is a pretty quick snag for us. I said that wrong. This is a pretty easy pickup for us, as the stats are obviously there. This is going to be a hard bow for us to acquire, as this is best in slot for hunters. So we're going to be prioed very, very, very late. But this is what we want to pick up. I mean, we're kind of used to that anyway, because right now when we do like Kara, we have to wait for, if we have hunters in our group that don't have it, you have to wait for bow. But this will be the item that we want. We want to go into the next phase with this. Got good stats, stam, crit, attack power, pretty much everything that we need. That's what we're going to want. You could also go with the newest throwing weapon. Good news about throwing weapons is that there's not a lot of people fighting for them because nobody uses them except maybe rogues. Depending on depending on the stats and stuff. I'm pretty sure rogues still want Serpent Spine, but I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. But this is also a good, and this is also a good item, and this gives us our hit rating that we need to maybe get to our 9%, our 9% set. So don't be if this is up for grabs and you don't have Serpent Spine, I definitely grab this. This is going to be really good, like I said, for your hit set. That's pretty much it though. We look like dumbasses going into this next phase. It's pretty ugly. We're awful, but that's okay because we're going to be doing a ton of damage. I'm really excited for this next phase. I'll be streaming pretty much everything on I'll be streaming pretty much the entirety of phase 2. I still am streaming phase 1 currently. I'm doing Karas, doing Mag, doing Gruul on full clears every week. On my Twitch that you can catch in my description below. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. If you guys have any suggestions on what you think is going to be good for Fury Warrior, make sure to drop them down in the comments below. I appreciate any feedback that I can possibly get. I talk to a lot of people about this stuff. I look at a lot of Discords. I try to do my research on pretty much all of this that has to do with TBC so far, as it has been a very hectic TBC, as gear has definitely changed our opinions. Like the gear opinions have definitely changed over the years. Also down below, if you guys have any friends or anything like that, I have made a complete BIS list from phase 1 to phase 2 myself. It's a spreadsheet down below in the description. You can see your BIS from phase 1 to phase 2 for every single class and every single spec, besides maybe like a couple that are like just DPS specs across the boards. You can check that out. If you guys have any suggestions for that, make sure to let me know. Every single class has a box next to it that shows you in green and red from what phase 1 you're taking into phase 2 to help guilds see what's actually going to be multi-phase BIS. So if you guys have guild leaders, you guys have officers, you guys have loot council, send it to them, let them look at that. This has been a chart that has gone over with almost every single class and spec that you can possibly think of somebody that plays it at a very high caliber. I've gone through extensive research for it. It's been taking me ever since phase 1 started all the way to where we're at now. And then going into phase 2, like I said, the phase 2 things could be up for debate as we go into phase 2. We'll have to see, but make sure to check that out. Give me some suggestions. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next time.